I woke up that Tuesday morning expecting flowers. Maybe breakfast in bed. Hell, I would have settled for a simple happy anniversary, honey. Instead, I got the sound of my husband's car pulling out of the driveway at 6 a.m., leaving me staring at the ceiling of our empty bedroom, counting the years we'd been married on my fingers like some pathetic math equation. 15 years. 15 years, and he forgot. But you know what they say about expectations, right? They're just resentments waiting to happen. And as I padded barefoot into our kitchen that morning, still in my oversized sleep shirt, I had no idea that this forgotten anniversary would become the day that changed everything. The day I discovered that sometimes the person who sees you most clearly isn't the one you married. It's the one you never expected to notice you at all. If you're here because stories about complicated family dynamics and forbidden feelings speak to something deep inside you, hit that subscribe button for Tales of Lust and ring that notification bell. Trust me, you're going to want to hear how this unfolds. The coffee was already brewing when I walked into the kitchen. That's the first thing that surprised me. My husband never made coffee, claimed he didn't know how to work our machine, even after 15 years of watching me do it every single morning. But there was Jake, my 22-year-old stepson, standing at the counter in his college sweatshirt and pajama pants, pouring 2 perfect cups. "Morning, Sarah," he said, and I swear there was something different in his voice. Softer. More aware. "I figured you might need this today." See, Jake had been home from college for the weekend, and unlike his father, he actually paid attention. He'd watched me circle today's date on the calendar with a little heart. He'd seen me trying on 3 different outfits yesterday, settling on the blue dress his father once said made my eyes sparkle. "You remembered," I whispered, accepting the mug. Our fingers brushed for just a second, and I felt this little jolt of gratitude, recognition. I couldn't name it then. "Dad's an idiot if he forgot," Jake said simply, leaning against the counter. And the way he was looking at me, not like his father's wife, not like the woman who married into his family when he was 7, but like he actually saw me. Sarah, the woman who stayed up all night when he had pneumonia at 12. Who taught him to drive stick shift when his dad was too busy with work. Who remembered he liked his sandwiches cut diagonally and always bought the good peanut butter. We stood there in comfortable silence, drinking our coffee as morning light streamed through the kitchen windows. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt seen. The day moved slowly, like honey dripping from a spoon. Jake didn't leave for his friend's house like he'd planned. Instead, he hung around, finding little reasons to check on me, asking if I wanted help with the laundry, offering to run to the store. Small gestures that his father hadn't made in. God, I couldn't even remember. By afternoon, I caught myself looking forward to his footsteps on the stairs. The way he'd peek into whatever room I was in with some excuse, needing to borrow phone charger, asking about dinner plans. But really, I think we both knew he was just checking on me, making sure I wasn't falling apart on my forgotten anniversary. You know, he said around 3 o'clock, finding me folding laundry in the living room, "I could cook tonight." That pasta thing you taught me last summer. I looked up from the pile of his father's work shirts I'd been washing and folding for 15 years, and felt something crack open in my chest. When was the last time someone offered to take care of me? To do something just because they thought I might enjoy it? "You don't have to do that, Jake," I said, but my voice came out smaller than I intended. "I want to," he replied, and the sincerity in his brown eyes so much warmer than his father's, made me look away quickly. Because suddenly, I was noticing things I shouldn't be noticing. The way he'd grown broader through the shoulders since starting college. How his voice had this new depth to it. The careful way he was watching me, like I was something precious that might break. It was probably nothing, I told myself. Just a sweet kid being thoughtful. But when I glanced back up and found him still looking at me with that soft, concerned expression, my heart did this little flutter thing that had nothing to do with gratitude and everything to do with something I wasn't ready to name. The storm rolled in just as the sun was setting, turning our cozy evening into something that felt almost cinematic. You know how sometimes the weather mirrors exactly what's happening inside you? The rumble of thunder matched the nervous energy building in my chest as Jake moved around our kitchen, cooking for me in a way his father never had. He'd lit candles. For ambience, he said with this shy smile that made my stomach flip, and the soft light was dancing across his face as he stirred the sauce. Rain was pelting against the windows, and when the power flickered, we both laughed nervously. Maybe I should find some flashlights, I suggested, but Jake just shook his head. This is perfect, he said quietly. Feels like we're in our own little world. Our own little world. The words hung in the air between us like a confession neither of us was ready to make. I busied myself setting the table, trying to ignore how domestic this felt. How right. How different from the silent dinners I usually shared with his father, both of us scrolling through our phones, filling the silence with anything but actual conversation. When we finally sat down to eat, the candlelight was flickering across Jake's features, making him look older, more serious. And when he raised his wine glass, wine he'd apparently bought just for tonight, and said, to the most incredible woman I know, who deserves so much better than being forgotten, I felt tears prick my eyes. Because it had been so long since someone toasted me. So long since someone looked at me like I was worth celebrating. And sitting there in the warm glow of candlelight, with rain creating this perfect cocoon around us, I realized I was in dangerous territory. The kind of territory that good wives, good stepmothers, don't venture into. But God help me, I didn't want to leave. After dinner, I made excuses. Suddenly remembered emails I needed to answer. Bills that couldn't wait. Anything to put some distance between Jake and the growing warmth in my chest that felt too big, too complicated, too wrong. But he followed me to the living room, concern written all over his face. Sarah, did I say something wrong? You seem different. I was arranging throw pillows that didn't need arranging, avoiding his eyes. I'm fine, sweetie. Just tired. Sweetie. I'd been calling him that since he was 7, but tonight it felt different coming out of my mouth. More loaded, like a word that could mean too many things. You don't have to pretend with me, he said softly, settling onto the couch. I know today's been hard. I know Dad hurt you. And that's when I made the mistake of looking at him. Really looking. Because there was something in his expression that wasn't just concern or sympathy. Something deeper and more complicated that made my breath catch in my throat. I was a good woman. A faithful wife. I'd never even thought about crossing lines before. But sitting there in our candlelit living room, with Jake looking at me like I hung the moon, I felt 15 years of neglect and loneliness crack open inside me like an egg. The confession came quietly, the way most dangerous truths do. We'd been sitting in comfortable silence, listening to the rain when Jake spoke. I think about you more than I should. 5 words that changed everything. 5 words that made the air in the room feel suddenly too thick to breathe. Jake. I started, but he held up his hand. Let me finish. Please. His voice was shaking slightly, but his eyes were steady on mine. I've watched him ignore you for years. Watched him take you for granted. Watched you try so hard to make him happy while he barely notices you exist. And it kills me, Sarah. It actually kills me to watch someone so incredible feel invisible. I was crying now, tears sliding down my cheeks in the candlelight. Because everything he was saying was true, and hearing it out loud from someone who'd witnessed my marriage from the inside, it broke something open in me. You see me, I whispered, and it came out like a confession of its own. I see you, he confirmed, leaning forward. I see how you remember everyone's favorite foods and important dates. I see how you laugh at Dad's terrible jokes even when you're exhausted. I see how you light up when you talk about the books you're reading or that photography class you wanted to take, but gave up because Dad said it was too expensive. God, he did see me. All of me. Parts of myself I'd forgotten existed. This is so wrong, I breathed, even as I felt myself leaning toward him. Is it? He asked. Is it wrong to want someone to see your worth? Is it wrong to want to be appreciated? We were inches apart now, and I could smell his cologne, something clean and young and intoxicating. His hand reached up to wipe away my tears, and his touch was so gentle, so reverent, that I nearly came undone. "I would never hurt you," he whispered. "I would never forget your anniversary. I would never make you feel like you weren't enough." And in that moment, sitting in our candlelit living room with rain washing the windows, I believed him completely. The sound of the garage door opening shattered our bubble like a gunshot. His father was home. Jake and I sprang apart like teenagers caught making out, and the sudden distance between us felt like a physical ache. I wiped my eyes quickly, blew out the candles, turned on the overhead lights. Jake gathered the wine glasses with shaking hands. "Happy anniversary, babe," my husband called from the kitchen, and I heard the rustle of grocery bags. Probably picking up something last minute, trying to cover for his oversight. I looked at Jake one more time, and the pain in his eyes mirrored my own. Because we both knew what had almost happened. We both knew how much we'd wanted it to happen. And we both knew it could never happen again. "I should go," Jake said quietly. "Back to school. Tonight." I nodded, not trusting my voice. Because he was right. Distance was the only solution. The only way to protect us both from the feelings that had grown too big, too real, too dangerous to ignore. He left that night, citing early classes and group projects. His father barely looked up from his phone to say goodbye. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a text from Jake. "I hope you find the happiness you deserve. You're worth so much more than forgotten anniversaries." I stared at those words for a long time before typing back, "Thank you for reminding me I'm worth something at all." His response came immediately. "You're worth everything." And that was it. Our last contact. No promises of secret meetings or forbidden affairs. Just two people acknowledging that sometimes connections form in impossible places with impossible people at impossible times. Some moments aren't meant to be pursued, just treasured for what they teach us about ourselves. That forgotten anniversary became the day I remembered my own worth. The day I realized that being seen, being valued, being appreciated, these aren't luxuries. They're necessities. Was I wrong for feeling what I felt? Was Jake wrong for seeing me when no one else did? I've asked myself these questions 1,000 times, and I still don't have clear answers. What I do know is that sometimes it takes an unexpected mirror to show us what we've been missing, even when we can't keep that mirror. The real question isn't whether what we felt was right or wrong. The real question is, what do you do when you realize you've been settling for crumbs when you deserve the whole feast? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever felt invisible in your own life? Have you ever been surprised by who really sees you? Subscribe to Tales of Lust for more stories about life's complicated moments, and remember, you're worth more than you think you are.